Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Sarah from Who I Am Among the Pages, and today we are going to do my June 2020 reading wrap up. You'll have to excuse me because again I got sunburnt because I am like incapable of using sunscreen. So yeah, we're back to square one as far as that goes. If the camera's shaking a little bit, I'm sorry, but it sits on my bed on the tripod and my dog is laying on it as well as my cat walking around, and she's like refuses to not touch the tripod. Yeah, I do love you, but come on. So anyway, sorry. I got through 3 books this month in their entirety, and I have started on a 4th, and I've noticed this is an author I used to really like. Sorry, it really itches. It's an author I really used to like and read a lot of, and I started this book thinking that it was just something a lot different from what I'd been reading, completely different genre, completely different age category, and that I would really enjoy it. But at first I really struggled to get into it. Today I spent most of the day outside just reading, and I was able to get a little bit more into it, but still, this one, I don't know. I'm going to try to finish it by tomorrow. I think I can if I really grind on it. Yeah, it's not my favorite from her. So to start off with, at the first of the month, I started this like the last day of May, if I remember right, was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because I have already filmed a heck of a long book rant on it. But I believe I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I'm sure I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. There really isn't anything I didn't like about this book. The language is beautiful, the writing is very strong, and the plot is right there with the writing. It is so good, so sweet. It's funny, it's romantic, it's fluffy, it's meaningful at the same time. It somehow manages to hit all the bases for what makes a good YA read. Or I would categorize this more as almost a new adult. It's getting there anyway, because you're dealing with college and the stuff that happens in college, and you know, that's not quite teen territory, even if you are 18, but you know, that's a discussion for another time, I guess. But yep, this book is amazing, and I finished it like June 11th, I think is what it said on Goodreads, because I was double checking to make sure what I'd actually read. I have the memory of a squirrel. I really recommend. Great summer read, especially I would think towards the end of summer when you're getting ready to go back to school, because it does get you excited, in the mood, for those of us that are going back to school anyway. So yeah, I really recommend. Very good read. So glad I read it. Then next I moved on to a book I haven't talked a whole lot about, and that is Chain Reaction by Simone Alcalise. This is the 3rd book in her Perfect Chemistry trilogy. I butchered that. And I read the first 2 books, Perfect Chemistry and Rules of Attraction. They are in the back if you're curious. When I was a good deal younger. I was about 16 and I'm 20 now. And I remember really liking the first book, because I'm pretty sure I brought it up, but the trilogy follows 3 brothers. The first one following the oldest, second following the middle, this one follows the youngest brother. And they grew up on the south side of Chicago in a pretty rough neighborhood. The oldest brother in the first book is involved with the Latino Blood, the local gang, or one of the gangs. So in these books, you do have romance. I mean, that is like the central plot, because they're meeting these girls from the north side of town at the public high school, where they're all kind of mixed in, dumped together. And so it's exploring like not only how romance works between teenagers, but you also have themes of classism, how that's dealt with. I'm sorry, the door just squeaked, the cat just went out. I swear she won't leave me alone today. Dealing with classism, racism, all the while creating they're funny characters, they're relatable characters, and they're actually trying to be very sweet people, even though it might not seem that way in the beginning. They do come from a rough background, so they definitely present themselves as big tough guys, but you learn as you go through that they aren't quite the monsters that especially the Northside kids make them out to be. Very good stories. This I enjoyed in particular because the two older brothers in the trilogy, who of course I got attached to first, have grown up, moved on. It picks up with one of them getting married, so you kind of see that character wrap up, and you find out that one of them's gonna have a child. So then throughout the story, you're seeing these other characters move on in roles in life. The one that doesn't get married gets engaged, as well as the younger brother, the youngest brother, who I believe was only like 4 or 5, in the first book, really grow into himself and have a personality, because I mean, in all honesty, he was a side character and he was a child. Like, there was only so much that could be done. I think I gave this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I'm not entirely sure. If I'm wrong, I'll correct it down below, and of course my Goodreads is always linked. But I definitely recommend this trilogy, especially during the summer. It's fun, and there is a good mixture of high and low stakes and plots. They come across problems that are easily solved, and if it's not, then somebody gets their feelings hurt, but that's about it. But then you also, especially in the first book, have some high stakes because they are involved with the gang. And of course, when that comes in, you're dealing with drug dealing and some pretty serious crimes. So it's a really good mixture of relatable, fluffy romance, and then the grittier side that makes these characters deeper and more realistic. I think, as I said in some other video, honestly, I'm like losing track. This book is written in first person active tense, present tense, whatever you're gonna call it, and I am not a fan. If you can get past it, and then I really do recommend these books, period. But if you're big on tenses and the flow of a story, the more technical part, then this might not be for you, because the writing is kind of juvenile. And of course that tense just really bothers me. Like, oh, that'll spoil. Okay, I don't want to read it. I was going to read something out of it as an example, but I don't want to ruin it for anybody, because it is the last book of the series, and pretty much everything is a spoiler. Very good. Really recommend. She's a wonderful person. I met her when I was in high school. I do have a book signed by her. I have her book, Better Than Perfect, signed. And, you know, it's always good to recommend books from somebody that you've met and just adored, because you always want to support authors that are great people. So definitely pick this up if you can. They're available on Amazon, and I know I saw them in my local Books A Million. I can't speak on Barnes & Noble though. So the last book that I have finished in entirety in its month, and I have not talked about hardly at all yet, is The Cruel Prince by the Fae Queen herself, Holly Black. This was the second book by her that I'd read. I know she has plenty more out, and I don't think you can see it down there, the white book in the corner. The Modern Fairy Tales, I haven't read them yet, but I picked this up after reading The Coldest Girl in Cold Town earlier this year. I think it was January. And at first, I'll be honest, I didn't like it. I really didn't like it at all. Holly Black has I feel like a very distinctive way of writing and doing things, and at first I didn't vibe with it. I remember having the same issue a little bit with The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, but the way that book starts, it takes off running, and this book for me didn't. You're kind of introduced, you know, these little girls, I don't want to spoil it, go through something and end up in fairy, and it builds from there. And once I got to the meat of the book, like after I got about 75 pages into, I don't want to spoil it, but the major plot twist, I really enjoyed it. But then there's this major plot twist. I'll do a review, book rant on this, so I can really talk about it. But after this major plot twist happened, we had like 100 pages, or it felt like 100 pages anyway, of next to nothing. The characters just going and talking to this person, and a lot of internal dialogue. And although it's still enjoyable, I still got through it. I felt like it could have been done better, not be so thick and so dense, because it did get overwhelming at some points. But once we got to the tail end, I'm talking like the last 20 pages, really great wrap up. And honestly, I was thinking about not continuing on with the series, but now after that ending, I think I will. And the next book in the series is The Wicked King, also by Holly Black, of course. So I think I am going to try to get my hands on that and read it, because this was enjoyable. And those are the 3 books I have finished in their entirety this month. And the book I am reading now, like I said, it's totally different from anything I have talked about really on this channel. But it is Postmortem by Patricia Cornwell. She is, I believe she was actually a coroner's assistant for a long time, but then she turned to writing books. And our main character in this is Dr. Kay Scarpetta, and she is the chief medical examiner of Richmond. I think it's a bigger area, but Richmond, at least just Richmond. For those of you that aren't from Virginia, Richmond is a huge city in central Virginia that I don't care for, but you know, some people are city people, whatever. But this picks up with another murder that's been attributed to this serial killer that they have not caught, who's been basically gallivanting around the city by night, killing people. And this is a very gory, kind of written like true crime story. It is not true crime, it is fiction. But it is very realistic in the sense that a lot of science is involved, which is where I kind of get bogged down because I am not a science person. But if you do understand more science, this is definitely a great book. This is a used copy. You'll have to forgive me. It's been through the ringer. Dr. Kay Scarpetta is a very compelling character. She's older, she's unmarried, and we learn quickly that that's a source of contention with her mother and her sister, who has a daughter that she doesn't care for. So Lucy, the daughter, Kay's niece, comes to stay with her, and that's also a source of contention because the child does have some arrogance issues, I would say. I mean, she is like a whiz. I mean, she's like a child genius with computers, but she knows it, and she's not afraid to rub it in your face that she's smarter than you. So it's a very interesting story. It's a very medical morgue drama, if you will. If you like things along the lines of like Criminal Minds, with like the psychology of a killer, definitely CSI. If you've ever watched Bones and Rizzoli and Isles, I mean, I love those kinds of shows. I used to a lot more than I do now. I just don't watch a whole lot of TV. But if you like those kinds of things, you will like this. I will put a disclaimer out there. Her first, I think like 7 books, if I remember right, are really, really good. I have read The Last Precinct by her, and I've read The Body Farm by her. And The Body Farm is my #1 recommended mystery. I love that so much. But beyond like the first 7 books, I don't really know what changed with her, but her writing took a huge, huge turn. And I don't recommend her newer books, again, beyond like the first 7. It's just not for me. It goes into a lot of her like personal feelings and thoughts, and like while that's important, I'd rather just know the mystery, please and thank you. Like, not that Dr. Kay Scarpetta, not that she's not interesting, but I don't care that much. I really just want to know the mystery, the whodunit. You know, I love when law and science does get involved in a mystery, and that's why I like her earlier books, because I mean, they're so realistic. In the way she writes, and at least in the early books, she has a very cut and dry way of describing things, describing scenes, that really draws you into it without fluffing up too much of her emotions, which is something I'm really guilty about in my own writing. So yeah, if you're looking for a good, grisly, gory mystery, then this is a very good book to pick up. And I would also recommend her other original books, not so much her new books, but if you want to give them a shot, go ahead. We're supporting fellow writers here. So that is what I've been reading in the month of June. So for some last minute announcements, and if you don't care, feel free to click out now. It's been good seeing you. I am still working on my traditionally published novel. It's going pretty well. I'm averaging like 1,000 to 1,500 words a day, which is a pace that I'm comfortable at and can still work on other projects without getting burnt out with writing. Because at the same time, I'm also working on drafting my Harry Potter fanfic, What Happens After, which is available on my Wattpad, which is always linked down below. Meanwhile, also rewriting another fanfic. It is a NASCAR fanfic. Number 9. It's Chase Elliott, in case anybody was concerned. That has been written over the course of several years. The writing is something I no longer stand by, so I am rewriting it. But it does require a good amount of work and at least attention paid towards it. So I've got all those projects going on, and recently I have started writing another story that, I don't know, I had the feeling I had to write by hand. So I picked up my notebook and did it, and it's actually like one of the best things I've ever written, and it's not on the computer. But I'm just not going to touch it yet because it's going well and I don't want to mess it up, because knowing my luck, I'll put too much pressure on myself and it'll turn into garbage. So yeah, as far as YouTube goes, this will go up today, and this is Monday. The calendar is almost too far away to see. Monday, June 29th. Wednesday, July 1st, 2020. We are over halfway there, people. This year is over halfway over. You will see my July 2020 TBR, and I am going for it this month, people. I am going to try to push harder than I have in a while because I'm getting kind of complacent with realizing that I don't read that quickly and I want to get faster. So it's a pretty exciting TBR. And yeah, then Friday I am actually going to be back down at school helping my boyfriend Bill move. So there still will be a video, but it will be pre-recorded because otherwise I always record the day that I post. So know that, but there will still be a video regardless. So yeah, that's it as far as my reading wrap up for this month. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it didn't bore you. I really try not to. But yeah, I hope you did like it. And I'll see you guys soon.